In this video I will show you how to create a sphere that you can apply multiple images onto, and also how to apply those images. Before creating the sphere, you'll need to make sure you have a suitable image to apply to it. I've got the image I used from a site called Clip Art Lord, and I've put the link at the bottom of the video clip in the description. So firstly you'll need to download this image and save it somewhere where you can find it. I usually save my images when I'm using them like this on my desktop. Close your web browser down, and if you open up the image you'll find the actual background is transparent, and in this instance we don't want that. So reopen up your image in an image editor. I use something called Color Paint because I'm on Linux, but you could use Windows Paint just as easily. And then select all of the image and grab the edges and just reduce the image slightly so it's set in something like that. Now in Color Paint, the minute I do this, the background turns solid white. If it doesn't for some reason or other, look for your color fill button and select white, and just go around clicking on the areas that are transparent until you've filled all the background in white. And then save your image, and hopefully if you open it up again everything will be white in the background. To start with, first look for the button at the top of the screen that says Blender Render. Left click on it, then left click Cycles Render. We should be creating the sphere from the default cube, so make sure that it's selected. Also, if you like, zoom in on it a bit by rolling your middle mouse button, and just right click on it to make sure it's selected. It will be highlighted around the edges in yellow. Now press tab on your keyboard to go into edit mode. You can also change between different modes down here by left clicking on this button and selecting the mode you wish to work in. Deselect everything by pressing A on your keyboard, and at the bottom of the screen look for the little cube with a highlighted face on it. This is your face select button, and left click on it. Then press 1 on your numbers pad just to go into front view. And then drag this section of the screen over so that you can see the data button. This has got a little triangle in it, and just left click on it. Now right click on the first face. In the section that says vertex groups, left click on the plus sign. And double click where it says group to rename. Just type the number 1 here, hit return, but make sure that you left click on this assign button. Now if you hold your middle mouse button down and move your mouse to the left, you can rotate your cube. And then right click on the next face. Again, in the vertex group, left click on the plus sign, double click on group, and this time type 2 followed by return, and then again make sure you left click on this assign button. Do the same again. Right click, and this time type 3, always followed by return, and also left clicking on the assign. Rotate again, right click, this time type 4, hit return, again left click on assign. Go to the top of the cube, right click on the top, left click plus, double click and type 5, again hit return, followed by assign, and then finally go to the bottom, right click, plus, this time type 6, hit return, and again left click on assign. Okay. Press A on your keyboard to select all of the faces. So you'll have to press it twice to do that. Then to the left of the screen, slide this slider down so you can see the section that says subdivide. This is under the tools section. Left click on subdivide, and underneath where it says number of cuts, 1, left click and type 10 and hit return. With the cube still selected, bring your cursor over a bit, then hold down Alt followed by Shift followed by S, and then left click, and that should give you a reasonable sphere created from the cube. Press tab on your keyboard to go into object mode, then press S to increase the sphere in size a bit. Left click to accept. Then press Z so that you go into wireframe, then Shift followed by A, and next to mesh, left click on UV sphere. Now your sphere should be smaller and inside the sphere you've created from the cube. To the left, where it says segments 32, left click and type 100 and hit return. Do the same in rings where it says 16, but this time type something like 50 and hit return. Now right click on the first sphere, then to the right of the screen look for the little button with a spanner in it. This is your modifiers button. Left click on it, then left click add modifier. In the deform section, look for the button that says shrink wrap and left click on it. Then just below the word target, left click on the little cube, then left click sphere. Finally, left click on apply. We want to remove the second sphere, and the easiest way to do that is to look for it in this section here to the top right hand side. So left click on the slider until you can see the word sphere, then left click on sphere, and this will select the second sphere. Finally, press X on your keyboard and left click delete. Press Z to go into solid view. You've now created a sphere from a cube. We can now start applying images to this sphere. So first of all, right click on the sphere and then press tab on your keyboard to go into edit mode. press A on your keyboard to deselect everything. Then come to the bottom of the screen and look for the little button with a white dot on it. Left click on it. Then left click on material. Then come to the top right of the screen again and look for the data button and left click on it. Left click on your first group of vertices, then left click select. Now one of the problems I find is, although I've selected this group here, it seems to select in inverted selection. So just drag your sphere around a bit so you can see the first selection, and then hold down Control followed by I, and this will actually select the first group. To the top right hand side of the data button, left click on the little orange sphere. This is your materials button. Then left click use nodes. To the right of the color band, left click on the little grey dot. Then left click image texture. Left click on open image and navigate to the folder where you saved your image. Left click on the image, then left click open image. Finally, with your cursor in the view screen, press U on your keyboard and left click project from view bounds. Rotate your cube around again, then go back into your data button. Left click on 2, then select, and again you may have to hold down Control followed by I to invert the selection. And again press U on your keyboard and then left click project from view bounds. Rotate your cube around again, or rather your sphere. That was a cube. Left click on number 3, then left click select. Again you may have to press Control followed by I, then press U, left click project from view bounds. Rotate your sphere around again, left click on 4 and left click select, invert the selection, press U and then left click project from view bounds. Go to the top of the sphere, then left click 5, left click select, again Control followed by I, which is actually the bottom one, sorry, and then U followed by left clicking on project from view bounds. And finally left click on number 6, then left click select, Control followed by I if needs be, then U project from view bound. We now have a sphere that's got images applied to 6 sides. Okay. Press tab to go into object mode again. Then left click on your materials modifier, left click on your modifier button. This is a little button with a spanner or wrench in it. Then left click add modifier. Under deform, under generate, come down and left click subdivision surface. Where it says view, to the right of the 1, left click on the little arrow so that actually says 2, and check that the render is the same, i.e. 2. Otherwise your view will be for 2, and when you render the image it'll render in whatever, it won't be the same. So just to recap, view 2, render 2. Finally, to the left of the screen, look for the shading button and left click on smooth. You've now created a fairly realistic ball which has images on it on all 6 faces, or rather 6 images on a sphere. If you want to create a scene similar to the one you saw in the beginning of this video, first come over to the right hand side and just left click on this apply button. Then press tab a couple of times to go into solid view, followed by 7 on your numbers pad. Roll your middle mouse a bit to zoom out, and then hold it down shift followed by A. Next to mesh, left click on plane. Press S on your keyboard and move your mouse to increase the size of the plane a bit, and then press 1 on your numbers pad to go into front view. Left click on the blue arrow and drag your mouse so that the plane is towards the bottom of the sphere. In actual fact, you need to press 5 to go into orthographic view to get a better view. So again, left click, drag the plane so it's just underneath the sphere. Press 0 on your numbers pad to go into camera view. Then roll your middle mouse button to zoom in a bit. Press N, and then to the right of the screen, drag this slider and left click next to lock camera to view. Then press N to close this down again. You can now reposition your camera view by either holding down shift followed by your middle mouse button and moving your mouse, or just holding down your middle mouse button and moving your mouse to change the angle, or roll your mouse to zoom in. If you left click on the red arrow and then move your mouse, you can center up your plane, and again on the green arrow. Obviously this isn't big enough to fill the view, so what we're going to do now is press S and then move our mouse so that the plane covers the view. Come to the bottom of the screen and left click on the white dot, then left click on the rendered view. Come to the left hand side of the screen and left click on the materials button, then left click new. In fact, just check that your plane is selected. It should still be selected, but I'm just going to go back into solid view just to check. And yes, it's selected. Right click on it if needs be. Okay, left click here again and then go into rendered view. Left click on the white color band and move your color around until you're happy with the color you want, or you can use a similar color to the one I've used by left clicking on hex and then just here type in 403C83 and hit in return. Okay. Press 1 again to go into front view, and then press Z a couple of times to go into solid view. Roll out a bit, then hold it down, shift followed by A, left click on plane. Drag the plane over by holding down on the right button and then drag it up with the blue arrows. Just check that it's in the middle. Press 1 again on your numbers pad to go into front view. Type R on your keyboard followed by Y, then moving your mouse, rotate the plane so that it's looking at the sphere. Then press S and increase the size of the plane. To about that sort of size. Okay. Now with the materials button still selected, left click on new, and then next to surface where it says diffuse BSDF, left click, then left click on emission. Again, go press 0 on your numbers pad to go into camera view, and then left click on the white dot to go into rendered. Finally, to increase the colours on this view, to the right hand side, look for the little button with a world in it. This is your world data button. Left click on it, left click use nodes, then left click on the grey band and drag this little button here all the way up. If at any time you want to change your colours, you can do this by either selecting the plane, your first plane, that's the emitter, by left clicking on it, and then going into the materials data button, and then left clicking on the colour here, and then either brightening it up or again moving your colours around. I think I'll darken this down a little bit. Okay, that doesn't look too bad. It's not quite the same as the original one, but anyway, this is basically how you set up the image. If you look to the top of the screen here, there's a little button with a camera in it. Left click on this, and then come down, and where it says PNG, left click and select which image format you're going to use. I'm going to stick with PNG, I think, in this instance. Also, next to sampling, left click on the little arrow, and under samples where it says render, type in something like 200 and hit return. Then left click render. This will take a little bit of time, but ultimately this is how you render the image. I won't bother showing you how to animate it like I did in the beginning of this video, because the main reason for creating this video was to show people how to actually apply images to different areas of a sphere. Depending on your computer, this can take a bit of time. The original video I created took quite a few hours, so you can see why I don't particularly want to go through it all again. Okay, once your image is finished rendering, bottom left of the screen, left click on image, save image as, find somewhere you want to save it. I don't know, put it on your desktop initially. Left click here and then type very, I don't know, on something like on ball. Then left click up here where it says save image. In fact, you'll have to left click twice, and then you should have your image here. Thank you for watching.